stop dancing.
Even I love that music. You cannot stop dancing.
So loungy.
All right. Well, everyone, welcome to week 18. Is it week 18 in the NFL? I think it is. I can't remember anymore. We got one game left.
17.
It's 17. Okay. One game left. But before we go into it, I'm going to go around our little Mile High chat group here, starting with Gavin. And some high-level thoughts on the game against Cincy.
Well, I think I'm going to dub this season Heartbreak Hotel because, damn, losing our third heartbreaking loss. It's, I'm sick of paying off the Tebow karma already. Like, I think we're done with it. Like, can we just move on, please? Because the amount of one-score games that we've lost this year have been amazing.
It's more than 3.
Yeah, way more. But the Chiefs, the Chargers, and this loss all stack up there. And, for a young team, those are good. Those are good learning moments that lights a fire under their ass. And they've responded well. I mean, when we lost to the Chiefs and that heartbreaking kick, we came back and won 4 straight after that. So, I'm pretty optimistic. I think this team had some miracles, too many miracles, and we'll get into that later. But nobody counted us in for this game. I mean, nobody. And we should have won, straight up. We had the opportunities, too many opportunities handed to us, and we didn't do it. That's a sign of a young team, but the fact that we were in it the whole way gives me hope. Heartbreaking, but yeah, it was fun. I got to say, it was a fun game. Had me running around the room, screaming and hollering. I'm sure all you the same. So I'll give it to Steve.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. This season has been unique over the last few seasons for actually being fun to watch. Obviously our record is better. We're winning more games, so that makes it better. But even when we're having games where we're losing, it's still close. You feel like the team is trying, that they can win it. Just a couple of things break one way or the other. And to your point, it's a young team. There's some inconsistency sometimes. I think the long trend of this, you look a few years in the future, with everybody kind of where they're at right now, getting a few more picks, et cetera. I love where we're at. I would really be I'm tempted to say I'd be fine with this season, even if we don't make the playoffs, because we've figured out so much about this team and they're a good team, I think. But, the way that we would have to not make the playoffs at this point would be very disappointing. So we just need to beat the Chiefs next on Sunday, as we should. And yeah. What do you got, Todd?
So Steve knows that he and I disagree with this very foundationally, but he's actually coming my way, which is we have to make the playoffs this year. And I will say that very importantly, we have been in the playoffs for the last 2 weeks, and we're 0-2 in the playoffs, which is that is actually a gift that you can lose 2 playoff games and still have a chance to get in the playoffs. We absolutely have to win on Sunday for the good of the franchise, for the good of the next 5 years. The Cincinnati game, very cool. I got no problems with it, except for we should have gone for 2. If we'd gone for 2, we would not. This would be a meaningless game. And who's the second string quarterback for the Denver Broncos?
Stidham.
Who?
Zach Wilson or Stidham is technically second.
Yeah. Stidham should be playing on Sunday.
Maybe he'll play the second half.
Maybe he'll play. Yes, exactly. Gavin. So those are my top line thoughts on the Cincinnati game.
I mean, I don't think you're wrong. There's so much about this team. Yeah, it's heartbreaking. There's a lot of heartbreaks that we've had this year with the team, and I agree with that. But we lost to playoff teams that were going into the playoffs. The Chargers was a playoff team.
There's nothing.
And we are a playoff team too.
Right.
Let me say that. We are too.
We'll find out.
But what I'm trying to say here is that this is it, like Gavin said, it's a young team. It's a team that's still feeling its muscles and it's still working out what it's going to do. And Sean's still working out what he's doing with Bo Nix. I agree with you. We should have gone for 2. I also think that the refs not overturning the ball when he was out of bounds, when he didn't get 2 feet in and he didn't have a technical catch, that hurt us. That hurt us big time. I don't care what anybody says. That was bad. The refs have gone from, oh, we're going to make the calls because we don't want anybody to say we didn't make these calls, to going to the opposite direction, which is we're not going to overturn anything that could affect the game because we don't want people saying we're affecting the game, which then you're affecting the game. That's the thing. But it was a heartbreaker. It really was a heartbreaker. And with that, we'll go into our good part of it and we can discuss some parts that we didn't agree with necessarily in other places. And so right now we're going to head into our local, our normal, which is the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we're going to go opposite direction this time. So Todd, why don't you start with your good?
My good is very obvious to me. Those 2 touchdown throws by Bo Nix, just, as good as any quarterback, Rodgers, Brady, Allen, Mahomes, like that. Those were, both of those long touchdowns were NFL worthy. In one game, in one half. So I think that the one strange thing, like, Bo is going to evolve. We're going to grow with him. We're going to see who he is. But I have said that he feels Brady-esque to me in this first season. Those were 2 big time throws in critical moments. And we have to step away from our own fandom. But if I was not a Denver Bronco fan and I was watching that game and I saw him make those 2 throws, I would think that they were elite. And so that's what I'm excited about.
For me, the good, I'm going to go with Mims. He has definitely found his place and was really coming on this offense. If you look at his performance over the last 5 games, he'd be 5th in the league for yards per reception. He has looked good. And that once again bodes well, not just for the playoffs, but also for next season. So that's my good. I actually have a laundry list of things I could do for good, but I got to save something for Gavin. So Gavin, what you got?
Yeah, I agree with Mims. He had over 100 yards this game.
103 yards, 8 receptions, 13 per reception.
God, man.
How many touchdowns?
You asked me the one stat I didn't write down. I was
one. It was one.
Just one.
He had one, and then he had a 25-yard gain.
Yeah.
But those, the one that Bo threw at the back of the end zone was the longest touchdown since 2022 or something.
Actually, it's not the longest touchdown; it's the longest throw. 67 yards.
Yeah. So the throw that he made, to Mims during the Browns game, I think puts to bed the questions that some people had about the strength of his arm, because clearly he can get there. He, a little too strong when it came to his old Oregon boy at the end there. Oh God, I'm blanking on his name. What's his name?
Troy Franklin.
Franklin.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was thinking of Reynolds. So anyways, I'll go back to my good. 2 things. I just got to say, thank God for the Bills. And I'll follow that up with thank God they beat the Chiefs. Because if not, the Chiefs would be undefeated and they'd be chasing that Dolphins record and they would have a lot to play for right now. And I bet your ass Andy Reid would be playing everybody and they'd be full cylinders. So, what we didn't do, the Bills did the following week, but it's just kind of interesting to think at one game, can turn the tides of the season. So thank you, Bills. Yeah.
Though I will say in that alternate timeline, they don't block our field goals, so they still have one loss.
Yeah. Well.
I love that alternate timeline. It's like if every game changed by the score, like we would be where the Chiefs are and the Chiefs would be where we're at.
Yeah. Complete opposite. Yeah.
The opposite. And the Bengals would be up there with us too, along with the Steelers and a few others. So that's the interesting thing of that little stat. You guys kind of all mentioned my goods. My good was Mims and that catch. I don't, and our special teams. I said it last week when we were at the game. Like, we have complained about our special teams in the past and how atrocious it's been, and they're pretty good now. So we don't have anything to say. And like always, it looked like Mims was just that far away from getting that breakout for the touchdown. So at the end of the season, we've been playing some really good teams with really good special teams personnel also. So it's been fun to kind of watch that. So, all right, next we will go into our bad. And that one I'm going to start with Steve.
All right. We alluded to this already, but I just think the inconsistency of the team, that we have flashes on this team of looking like we could win a Super Bowl. Like, honestly, like amazing passes and catches, and I mean, like all the things that you're looking for. But within each game, I feel like we have really struggled to consistently string together. We have, like we start running the ball and we're making good job in running and we're getting progress, and then like that just sort of just goes away. And now we're passing a bit, and it's like, and some of this is play calling, some of this is just execution. But it's like, if we could just do it all in one game, maybe this Sunday, it would be really nice.
Todd?
Amen.
The bad was not going for 2.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think any of us would disagree with that one.
Except for
Yeah.
Peyton.
I do. Take it to overtime. I actually disagree. I think that. So here's the thing. I will defend Peyton on this because I gotta do it. I think that you recognizing that a tie works out for you, that going for 2 there is overly aggressive. You take it to overtime, but once they got to overtime, they kept playing like we're just playing for a tie. And so the psychology of it is a little broken there, but I think that honestly that was the right call at that time, but we just didn't do enough once we got into overtime to get the win.
They got the stop. Like, they got the defensive stop.
And
like,
then they didn't get it done.
They the ball back into our hands.
Do I have time for rebuttal?
Yes.
I'm asking Tita. I'm asking Mario.
No, we must do this in 15 minutes. Yes, you have time for
Well, we're out of minutes.
You know what? We were clearly going to lose to Joe Burrow in overtime. Like, clearly we're going to.
We stopped
They had such a better offense. They're probably going to get the ball the first time. And I know we stopped them a little bit, but like, just from my perspective on a pragmatic level, see if you can make a 2-yard run, because you don't have to win the game. You got this week. Like, the emotional, the psychological, this national game, the idea that, and we shouldn't even had the opportunity to win that game. It was a last-second play. You run the 2-point conversion. It's 50-50. I just want to say, if we had converted on the 2-point conversion last Saturday, how would we all be feeling right now? Like, in terms of psychology and momentum?
Oh, they'd raise a statue of Bo in Mile High. Like, It would be all that. And I agree that even if we got it,
I would be happier simply because we wouldn't be coming down to the last game to try and make the playoffs.
But you know what? Either way, we would have been coming down to the last game, if we converted or not. That's the whole point.
No, we needed just one game out of these last 3. So if we'd won last week, we were in automatically.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying I wish we'd won last week.
5 seconds to, it could have been a 2-yard run by Esteme, and this whole week would have been so much easier for all of us. Like, it was we all know how I feel about Peyton. Thank goodness that he is a strong enough coach to fix our franchise, which really needed fixing. he does make a lot of mistakes out of ego or perhaps bad clock management, but it is very, very clear that we should have done the 2-point conversion. And I get to say that because we lost the game.
Just to add the conversion rate this year, this is back in October, so it may have changed since then, was 31%.
30, yeah.
So,
well, what? So Steve, go back to your magic statistics machine, and what is the rate of how many times you score a 2-point conversion after scoring a last-second touchdown in the fourth quarter? Because there's something called momentum, and there's something called motivation. I think they would have gotten that 2-point conversion so easily because we had the momentum there.
Okay.
Yeah,
and you know what? And if we didn't, what we would have to do is we'd have to come to this week and win. But that's the thing. That's like the huge point of it, is that that we didn't have much to lose. We had much more to gain because we're in the same position now.
Not wrong. I just wished we had won, so this week wouldn't be
wish we would too.
a do or die situation.
Agreed.
And I mean, I said it at the bar, and I said it a couple of weeks ago. This game scared the shit out of me. Joe Burrow scared me. I was like, he's known for doing this. And as much as we wanted, PS2 is great. Riley was just coming back off of an injury for 3 weeks and stuff. He was a little rusty. And with those two wide receivers, plus also what they did with their tight end carved us up.
Oh, all day. Gasecki was
all day. That's not my. I'm going to take that as my bad, and I will move my bad to my ugly because I just started talking, and so I'll move it to my ugly. But Chase and T. Higgins made our secondary look like rookies,
especially
honestly. Higgins. I mean, PS2 missed some things. And he wasn't as clutch as he normally is. He was good and very good in the game, but they took advantage of McMillan and Moss a lot in this game. So that'll be my bad. Gavin?
You guys, I'm worried about Javonte.
He's gone.
I kind of don't think he's going to be on this team next year.
He's gone. I think he's gone.
Yeah, he kind of needed to, debut the last couple of games. In this game, he just disappeared again. And as much as it crushes me to say that, I don't think he's part of the future of this team. And I don't think Sean can trust him or move forward with him. So our running game was amazing. Jaleel tore it up. It seemed like he had 9 yards a carry every time he touched the ball. It was unbelievable. We were running the ball the first half. I mean, you can't say that Sean didn't run the ball this game because he stuck to that game plan and it worked a lot. Our defense had 8 freaking sacks, but and 2 huge turnover on downs, 2 fourth down stops that were monstrous. But again, their first punt was in overtime. So if we're just chasing receivers all day and they have some of the best in the league, we're going to get gassed. And we were gassed. And that was a big problem for me all week. It was just get our defense off the field. And I'm surprised they hung in as long as they did. And that 4th or 5th chance that we had at the end, that final drive, they just couldn't hang. And Moss and Jaleel got McMillan, yeah, he was there. He's always there on a play, but he was getting torched the first half for sure, and he could not keep a hold of Gasecki there.
All right, and on that's going to lead into ugly, and I'm going to start out with the ugly because that kind of leads into what I was going to say, which is I don't know what the game plan was on our defense. Even though we did have some highlights, we're still playing a lot of freaking zone for some reason. We're not a zone team. We're man to man. There was some kind of matchup there. I still don't get what was going on, but I don't have a problem with our front line defense. Zach Allen, Benito, Cooper, those guys, I'm okay with. They played an amazing game. It's the secondary. The secondary, I don't know what was going on. Is it because Moss just came back? I don't know. And the defense just, it flashed hot and then it flashed cold at the wrong times. Maybe I'm being a little bit of a Debbie Downer because I just had my heart ripped out last week. But all right, Steve, you go.
I mean, honestly, I kind of came to the same answer twice on the bad and the ugly, and so it's like the bad was it's an inconsistency. The ugly, like, I don't know what to make of our running game, and so that's a factor of the inconsistency, right? Is like because like McLaughlin looked great in this game. He's also looked terrible in other games. We've had Estime look great and then not, and Javonte. I keep coming back to it. Javonte is like. There was an interview I heard with Terrell Davis a while back, and he was talking about when he got injured, he regrets having come back too quickly, and it really hurt him in terms of being able to play after that. And so I have a feeling that that's what's happening with Javonte. Now, maybe next season, he gets a little more rest, he gets himself right, and he's better. But I think that had we had one sort of reliable guy that we could go to when we're in that 2-point conversion situation, or we just need a little bit more convincing to get the play action to work. I think our record would be another 2-3 wins possibly, just because of how many close ones we've had. So I hope that as we go into next week, as we are now into the must-win situations, that we've got it figured out. We've got a recipe that's going to work, and we know how to mix it up right. And maybe that's McLaughlin. Maybe that's Estime. Maybe Javonte returns, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think we go number one running back. I wouldn't be surprised if we go number one with our number one pick running back this year in the draft.
Yeah. Or a wide receiver. Slot guy. Something like that.
Yeah. Although tight ends,
weapon of some sort.
Tight ends take longer to develop than running backs do.
We've tried 2, 3, haven't worked out. All right, Todd, you?
On the ugly, I have 2, but I'm going to go with my second one, which is it'll be ugly if we lose on Sunday. And this is unpopular, but I honestly do not believe that at this point in the season, this is a rebuilding year, and even if we don't make the playoffs, we still have good prospects for next year. I look at the other way, which is if we do not make the playoffs, we will be a much lesser team next year than if we do, because it's all laid out in front of us. If they can't figure out how to pull this off, I think that there are consequences to it. We should win this game. We need to make the playoffs. A team that has 3 shots to get in the playoffs and doesn't make it is not stronger when they go into the next season, regardless of how young they are. They sow doubt, not confidence. So that's my ugly.
Gavin?
There's so many ugly things, especially in the half, but I'm going to put this one a little bit on Sean. I don't know why he dialed up a play call to go to Franklin there at the end. And I know he had him and it worked, but Bo and Franklin have had zero chemistry all year. And it's weird because they had it immensely in college, but the fact that he's got this, one play dialed up, and maybe, there's a lot of options. Maybe that's, Bo just saw him open and did that. But the fact that he was even in on that play, It's like if Sutton's there, does he actually make that catch? I know Franklin's fast. Would Mims have gotten under it a little bit better? Bo did overthrow him from what it saw and had it in the flat, and that would have been game over. But for Sean to risk that connection with zero chemistry at that critical point in the game was baffling. And to me, that basically, among other things, that could have sealed the game for us, and it didn't. So I'm going to put that one on Sean.
Yeah. Todd, you said you had 2?
Oh, I chose my second. I don't have 2.
Okay.
Yeah, the only other, it's ugly we lost against the Seahawks and the Steelers because it would be nice if this week was meaningless, and those were sort of crappy losses that don't really count because everything was so early. But if we had one of those 2 games this week would be great.
Yeah.
I'm going to disagree because I missed the last 2 games at almost home, so I'd much rather have the final game of the season be interesting.
Yes, I know.
What's more fun?
Gavin, I am going to have another.
But Gavin, at one point you were hoping to come back to a meaningless game, so now you're hoping to come back for a meaningful game.
Yeah.
But let's have some fun at almost home, and let's finish this and start the Phoenix of the Denver Broncos and Bo Nix.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I do have one more ugly, and I kind of alluded to it, and I know I said it a couple of times to Steve. Sean needs to stop with the screen passes all the time. Every team knows he's going to throw a screen pass in, and our guy is going to be 5 yards behind the line because Bo still isn't completely comfortable under center, so he's in shotgun, so we're already 5 yards behind, and they know we're going to do it. And I know he keeps doing it because when it works, but it's not working.
Like I keep having this dream, and it goes like this: is that this whole season, Peyton's been a little inconsistent and doing different things on the theory that he's getting everybody ready. He's trying out things, like, well, what can we do? What can't we do? Getting people kind of practice on the field. And then, starting Sunday, it's like, okay, this is the order I execute these plays in. This is who's going to catch this, and has it all figured out. And God, I hope I'm right.
Well,
I know it's probably delusion, but it sounds good.
No, at this point, I think Sean is playing with house money because we were not expected to be in this position. And Bo's doing much better than a lot of people thought he was going to do. Mims has stepped up quite a bit. Our running game is atrocious. We've talked about. So I think he's moving pieces around and trying to figure out who's going to be here, who he can work with, and where do we need to fill in, which we'll discuss later, where we all think we need some spots to fill in later. But like I said, he's playing with house money. So I get that. But the screens aren't working. Every defense is dialed up on that screen. Stop it.
Yeah.
But I'm not a head coach. I'm not Sean Payton. I don't get paid the mega millions that he gets paid. I just see what I see, and the groans in almost home every time our guy gets nailed behind this line of scrimmage. It's just bad, in my opinion. So anybody else got anything ugly before we move on?
I wonder if Sean, part of his calculus, because as a head coach, you have a lot of things you're weighing, that for 31 percentage, all this stuff. I wonder if he's like, man, I got this awesome play that's going to score, but we're probably going to go to the playoffs anyway. So I don't want to reveal my bag of tricks just yet because we're going to need every goddamn thing we have for that Buffalo game. And he maybe was like, I don't know if I want to show my hand there. Probably had nothing to do with it, but that's just in the back of my mind. Something why not go for 2 there? But
Steve,
I get it.
It would be pretty hot if, we go to we get into the playoffs, we go to Buffalo, we win 12-6, and it's running the ball the entire time. Estimate gets 125 yards. And
almost home, I burned to the ground.
I guess I would say, when we look at the game in Cincinnati last week with all its fits and starts, Bo's 2 clutch touchdowns are a big deal. and
Yeah.
he's a rookie, and there's a trajectory, and like, he is absolutely getting better every week, and we've seen that before with great quarterbacks, Mahomes, Brady, like when they were in their first or second year, Mahomes, Brady, Allen, like we actually just don't know how good Bo Nix is going to be, and when they say that you got to play the games, and when you get in the playoffs, it's the beginning of a season. Like if Bo Nix makes 2 crazy touchdown throws every game, then we're in the game.
Yeah.
Meaningful games in December. That's all.
Meaningful games in January.
And
in
December.
January.
Yeah.
Well, we're already through that. That already happened.
I know. Still.
So now we've got a meaningful game in January, and perhaps we have 2 or 3 more.
That's what we all hope for. That's what we all want. All right. This says player of the week, but I think we all know who the players of the week are because they announced the Pro Bowl this week. Mims and Surtain are starters. I think Benito might be. I don't remember.
I think he is.
But what?
Okay.
Here's
no,
my.
our only 3 were on offense.
What?
I think our only 3 were on offense. Hold on.
No, it's Surtain, it's Benito, and it's Mims. We're the 3 that are going to the Pro Bowl. Now, I saw somebody else raise this. Is there anyone else on the team you guys think might have been snubbed in the Pro Bowl?
Fuck yes.
All right. Who, Gavin?
Zach Allen.
I was just going to say Zach Allen, so.
Yeah.
Good. That was on my list.
He got 3 sacks the other night. Like he's going all pro for sure. How the hell did he not make the Pro Bowl? I mean, Pro Bowl's what it is, but yeah, 100% he should be there. Like he's the leading, by some metrics, the leading, tackle his position. So like it's Allen.
So strategically, I kind of love this, that like our defense is this good. We only have 2 people going to the Pro Bowl. Like if I'm them, I'm going to be like, oh, we're gonna wreck some people. So maybe this all works out.
Todd?
Not that they weren't already.
It's very interesting. I actually think that Bulls should have been considered. And these are just the starters. But I think the most hilarious thing to me about it is that we have 3 starters on the Pro Bowl, because that hasn't happened in at least 8 years. So it was very fun to see. And I think that Bo Nix got a lot of votes from the fans for the Pro Bowl. I think he came in 4th, which is ridiculous. Yeah. So I think in terms of how we want to grade ourselves in Pro Bowl, Broncos did pretty well this year, and we have not done that for a long time. So yeah, I think all 3 players were worthy. I think Nick is the most worthy.
I think he should be up for Defensive Player of the Year.
Right.
In my opinion.
That was not anything that we were predicting in August. So the fact that Nick Benito might be the best defensive player in the NFL, that's a win.
Although I will say an argument for Surtain. Apparently, if you're a quarterback in the NFL and your choice is throw it at Surtain or throw it in the ground, your numbers are better if you just throw it in the ground.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing about like good cornerbacks. They don't have all the interceptions. They don't have all the tackles or things like that, because you're literally shutting down the option to them.
Yeah.
So they don't have the numbers that everybody has because they're just that good. And that's the thing with Surtain. Like there's wide receivers and tight ends and wide receivers that don't even want to go near him. So but you know what? I also think those battles, like between Chase and Surtain, that was fun watching the 2 of them. Like, and the refs let them pretty much go. They didn't try to get too involved or say that was PI or whatever it was. So I was happy with that. But yeah, I personally think Nick Benito should be up for Defensive Player of the Year. So I've been saying that for a while on the round table. All right. So
Another snub.
One other player to throw out there.
Okay.
Niners.
Anyone else?
Niners.
Yes, right.
Niners, yep. And Brandon Jones quietly having an amazing season. He has better stats this year than
And Jonathan Cooper.
Justin.
He's not a Pro Bowler for the league. Jonathan Cooper, he's not a Pro Bowler for the league, but he's a Pro Bowler for me.
He's an anvil to Benito's hammer.
I love Jonathan Cooper.
Yeah.
Steve, did you have another one?
No, I'm good.
Franklin Myers. He was a pickup in the offseason, and he's starting to hit his gear now. I'm really, really liking that. So, all right. Well, I want to hit a little buffer before we went into the last one, which is we got to discuss how it's a must win against the Chiefs this week. Now, we got some good news. They're not planning on playing their starters. We're going to be playing against their bench. Thoughts? Ideas?
I actually have a thought, which is something that I didn't know until this week when I read it. So, like when you say quote unquote we're not going to play our starters, it doesn't really mean much because you actually have to play a lot of your first string players. Like it's not that the Chiefs are going to sit their top 22 and the rest of them are going to play. So like the Chiefs are still going to be a good team. They're going to be players on the field that have started all year.
Yeah.
And I actually like that. Like, let's win this game. Like, it shouldn't be handed to us. We should win it.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have the same head coach.
Right.
Yeah, and it's not like preseason where you have like 90 people on the team.
Right.
You're sending people who are actually going to go sell cell phones at Aurora Mall later. Like, that's a different situation. So, yeah.
No, my whole point, which is like the Chiefs are going to show up and we better be better.
Honestly, I think it actually makes things a little harder for us because we don't have tape on Carson Wentz playing in Reed's offense.
Yeah.
I have tapes of Carson Wentz in my head, and I feel pretty good about it.
I mean, we sacked Burrow 8 times last game. I think we're going to murder Carson Wentz, but he's got everything to play for.
It depends on who's going to be on their offensive line.
Yeah, true.
And how they're playing.
Yeah,
and
totally.
That's the one thing about the Chiefs is their offensive line and their defense are good.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't won as many games as they've won on a fluke. But like what Todd said, I mean, I think we may not always have all the tape. Like it's maybe a different running back than we're used to seeing. It might be somebody that's their second or third guy. The wide receiver core is almost, I mean, who do they even still have playing for them on the wide receiver core?
Harrison.
So is Kelsey going to be out there for the first half?
They've got a pretty good wide receiver core.
But they had another injury this week too. So it's one of those things, but they always seem to do this. They seem to have something that's going to make them take a step back and they find a way to win, which is what championship teams do. It's right. You plug the next guy in, you get them going and you win. So yeah, I hope we do beat them on this game. I want them to beat them.
It says everything to play for, and every other guy who's hunting on that roster for a spot has everything on the line to play for. So, skill level might not match up, but the heart's going to be there for the team. They're not going to totally give up. Yeah. Hopefully we see their third string quarterback in the second half, We're running away with it so bad that they finally do let up, but that first half is going to be, a bigger challenge than maybe we think.
I think the
spread on this game is like 10.5, and I think that's probably a little much.
Well, I think the most important factor in this game is the Denver Broncos will be wearing their throwback uniforms, and so we win.
It's a lock.
It's a lock.
I'm convinced that Bo Nix does better when we're in the bright orange shirts because they're easy to see, and he can just kind of lock on.
Right.
Yeah. I agree.
We get a lock. Can we give a quick Drew Lock shout out to screwing the Giants out of the number 1 pick?
That is such a Drew thing, though. Like he comes in and he just can't stop himself from screwing something up. Because he's coming in, he's trying to get a job on the team next year or on another team.
Payback for benching him.
Yeah, he's just. God, always reminds me of Buzz Lightyear, the like choo, choo, choo thing.
I think that was my fantasy.
All the best intentions in the world, but somehow he messes something up. So, all right. Well, on that, because you guys, all of us have kind of alluded to it, which is, well, if we don't win, I think we all realize there's going to be a bit of a fire sale going on. There's going to be some people that are going to be gone. So we're going to have some spots that we may need some draft picks. We may need some free agency people. So I'm going to call this one the off-season pickup. Are there a player or two? Are there positions that you would like to see us pick up in the draft or in free agency? And I'll go with Steve.
I think probably. I think it's just some weapon on the offense is really the answer. So that could be a running back, could be a wide receiver, could be a tight end. I think we just need a little bit more there. I think like Sutton is our number one receiver, but I think he's a low end number one. I would love to see a high end number one. So I guess that's my pick.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, I'm sorry, Todd.
Tight end, a great tight end.
Free agency or draft?
I actually think there's a lot of great running backs in the draft, so I think we'll pick up a great running back, even if pick in the second round. And I do not know the tight ends coming out of the draft this year, but I honestly think that we are going to be so much better when we have Peyton got rid of Russell because he didn't fit in the system. Peyton does not have a tight end who fits in the system. So maybe, I don't know, is Taysom Hill, is he a free agent this year?
I mean, Troutman was from his system, but he's a bit older.
But Troutman's not excellent.
No.
So if we're going to upgrade this offense, we need an excellent tight end.
Honestly, I would settle for a slightly above average tight end at this point.
Or even a lower tight.
A slightly above average tight end who is part of Peyton's system. Because
yeah. Who can then be excellent, right? We got it. We're all good.
If we lose Sunday, as good of a job that he's done, I'm not convinced that Vance Joseph's job is all that safe. There's a possibility that with this late season collapse, what he's done, Sean might think, hey, we've got the players. We know what they can do. There might be somebody better here. That would be kind of a big headline shocker, but I wouldn't be completely shocked if we lose this game. And we would have to get kind of blown out,
I also wouldn't be shocked if he got another chance at a coaching position somewhere else.
I don't know if he's coached his way at the beginning of this or mid-season. You were kind of saying that, but these last few weeks, I think he's kind of coached himself out of a head coaching job. Honestly, he'll interview because of the Rooney Rule, but I don't think he's going to get any. I could be wrong, but
in my opinion, I think some of the things he's been dealing with is having Moss out was a big blow to the secondary.
Huge.
And when you're doing that, he then started switching to the zone versus man because the backups weren't as good. Drain, I think, is going to turn into a pretty decent cornerback. Hopefully he continues on an upward trajectory and doesn't do the up down thing you see with cornerbacks sometimes. But I think he had to make choices in order to cover Moss being out. So I think there's a discussion there that you could have an explanation as to why he did what he did. I just couldn't figure out in the Chargers game what matchup he was trying to avoid by doing zone, because it just made no sense whatsoever to me. I couldn't figure it out, and neither could Brett. And I consider Brett to be a pretty smart football guy. We were talking about what is this? Where?
I think my sense of it is when we can play a lot of man coverage, we can be pretty good. We have to play more zone, and I think it's because we had some gaps we were aware of and trying to sort of paper over that. And we're not as locked down. Like, they're still good. They're just not as locked down as they are the rest of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. My pickup is free agent wide receiver. There's a lot of good wide receivers out there. They're going to be available in free agency. And we now have we have some room in our cap, not a lot. We all know that, but we have cap to get somebody good. And now we have a team that we can show them, like, hey, come with us, come over here. We need our second guy on the other side. Mims is probably our slot guy or those. And the second, Vele, I think, has potential, but he's still a rookie. We need that second threat. We need that T. Higgins Chase combo where if you cover one, the other one can hurt you. That's my big pickup that I think we need to pick up for our.
You mean that Demaryius Thomas, Eric Decker combo, or
Lord.
Wes Welker, or Emmanuel Sanders, or
and what was his name? The tight end that went to Jacksonville.
Julius
and Eric and Demaryius and Welker, like all the weapons that Manning had on that team were just it was amazing to watch. So,
I think you're right. I think we could lure it because we're now a better destination. Our ownership has proven that they put their money where their mouth is and they don't mess things up too big, and they've proven to make some really smart moves. We got that giant jumbo jet that only the Dolphins have for travel, which is like the top of the line shit. They replaced the field. They're building a brand new facility. We're getting Hard Knocks next year. Like, we are a lock to get Hard Knocks.
If we get the playoffs, we're not in Hard Knocks, though, right?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe we'll do them mid-season Hard Knocks.
They might do it. Well, I'll make it to like the AFC West. That'd be fun.
Yeah, and I thought they were changing the rules on that. I thought that stuff was all up in the air. Or they might not stick with one team the whole time. They might change it to multiple teams, throughout, so they could go. But still, the spotlight's going to be a bit more on Denver next year.
Yeah.
It has been the last 9 years, so that attracts good free agents. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, and also kind of like what you said, we can structure the contract in a way that he may not get money up, like the money up front and all. I forget. We can back end the contract because the Waltons will pay extra money in the back end. Like, we know that can happen. So you may not get it all in your cap. We'll have some of the cap and some in the back. And then they just restructure it in 2 or 3 years, like they're doing anyways with everybody's contracts. It's 3 years down the line, you get a restructure and you move everything to the back.
Yeah.
All right.
Rolls Royces to sweeten the deal.
Yeah. It makes sense in my mind for the players because they're actually getting newer contracts quicker and they're able to pull more money in the back, which is the money, their guaranteed money. So it makes sense for both sides of them. You're not stuck with huge long contracts and they're kind of able to ratchet up their pay a little faster. All right. I don't have a ticker for this one, but is there any game this week that besides ours, that you're interested in, that you are looking forward to watching?
If the Bengals lose and the Jets beat the Dolphins, we get the playoffs no matter what. So,
okay.
Yeah, the Bengals are playing.
Walk in like we did with Tebow.
All right.
The Bengals are playing the Steelers or the Ravens? They're playing the Steelers.
Right. I think they're playing. Is it the Steelers? Because the Ravens are playing the Browns.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I am really in. It's a Saturday night game. I think the Bengals Steelers game could be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
looking forward.
That's Saturday night. So if the Bengals lose that game,
they're out of the playoffs. So then it's us and the Dolphins.
Yep.
And the Dolphins are playing who? I have a
Oh, Jets.
Jets. Nah, fucking Jets.
One time
So we
now.
should just
actually,
win the game.
the
'cause,
hilarious thing would be for the Dolphins to get this playoff spot. But to Tina's specific question, and I can't remember where they're playing it, but I am really looking forward to the Bengals Steelers game. I think it'll be fun to watch. Been a lot of good football in the last 2 weeks, and that's one of them.
Mine is the Chargers versus the Raiders.
Because
I want the Raiders to win, because if they win, there's all the thing with the three of us at the bottom. One game can change how the seeds go like that. So I don't know that it will change too much, but if
I don't think it would, right? Because they
Chargers win and Steelers lose, I think the Chargers jump in front of the Steelers. So then it would be us and the Steelers. And if we win, we would still be behind them because we lost to the Steelers earlier this year. So it doesn't affect our seeding. I just think it may affect the
we're still going to play Buffalo either way, right?
Yeah,
we're
in Buffalo.
We're going to Buffalo if all goes well.
Yeah.
God help us.
And, right.
That's why I wanted to win that Chargers game so badly. Because
Man,
if we won that, we would have switched things around.
Yeah,
but
that was a heartbreaker. That was a kick.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I'm coming to the end. As always.
So a big question.
A minute was not a minute.
Are all four of us going to be
last minute thoughts?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Are all four of us going to be at Almost Home on Sunday?
That's my plan.
Yep.
Us and all the other crazies.
3:00 game, right?
3:25.
Yeah.
Yep.
Same time as that Dolphins Jets game, so we don't get to sit our players.
Yeah.
Now
we won't know till halftime, really.
The Bears and the Packers are playing at noon, so I think Almost Home might be a little bit crowded when we first
people are showing up for Bears games still. They've lost 10 straight.
They're showing up for the Packers too, because the Packers are still in the race.
Yeah.
And it's the Bears Packers game. That's always a big game, no matter how the teams are doing. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, we had a really good crowd in there on Saturday. On Saturday for a 3:00 game for a team that's from the West Coast. That place was rocking. So, all right.
I want to put a positive thought out into the universe here real quick. So if we get to the playoffs,
any last thoughts?
And we beat the Bills, then it could play out this way, is that we could then go on and play the Chargers, who would have to beat the Ravens. And then we could beat the Chiefs. And then we go to the Super Bowl. Just saying.
I think like the most logical thing if we beat the Bills is that we play the Chiefs next, right?
I think so.
Because they're the 1 seed and we're the 7. So
I would rather play the Chiefs than the Chargers.
I would rather play the Chiefs. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I want to do Bills, Chiefs, and then whoever's next. But
then Lions.
And then Lions. And then Ring. And then that weird last second loss to the Bengals doesn't matter at all.
Nope.
I mean, I'm just going to say it. I mean, we're not normally an NFC team, but you know what? It's Eagles are coming on strong. I don't know. I think the Lions are going to have a little – they're hurting. They're hurting bad.
I think a Ravens-Eagles Super Bowl would be awesome. That would be great.
I would like Ravens, Eagles, and I would like Bills, Lions.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know why you guys aren't saying Broncos. I'm just saying.
I literally just
realistic.
I literally just gave the path to the Broncos Super Bowl.
I know.
But
I mean, we beat them before, so
Plan B is Lions.
Plan Bo.
Plan Bo. All right. Well, anything else? Anything you want to say? You
No,
thought of?
I just hope we get to do this for another week or two at least.
Yes. Yeah. Like when I do the round table hasn't been on for the last couple of weeks, but this show and the round table are my favorite because I get to hang out with people and discuss football. People help me deal with my obsession of football. So all right. Well, that's it for tonight, guys. And that's Mile High Minute.
And we'll
And
see it almost
thank
home.
you. At Almost Home, we will be at Almost Home on Sunday, 3:25 game. It's in Mile High, which is always a good thing.
Throwbacks, maybe.
Yep. And so, as always, I would like to thank Gavin and Steve and Todd for joining me to discuss our lovely men in orange. And let's go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.